Hello, everyone. My name is Sawyer.
My name's Alec Toney,
I'm Mercy.
and this is
Office
Office
Hours.
Hours. Our goal is to give professors a voice so that that students aren't going to be nervous whenever they come take your class in the future. And we want to get to know you on a more personal level.
So, Ben, tell us, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Ben Ing. I am an assistant professor of marketing and entrepreneurship. I also have a second title, which is about innovation and design thinking, and it's called the Assistant Provost of Innovation and Academic Engagement. So it's a little bit of a long and confusing title, but just it's about how do we bring innovation to Marshall University. So that's the easier. The other one, the assistant provost part, I think people will get that one, so I won't explain that one.
How long have you been here at Marshall?
So I am now in my 11th year at Marshall, which I'm actually kind of surprised about. I can't believe I've been here for so long. It's really gone by in a blink. That's 11 years as a faculty member, but then I was also a student here as well. So I got my MBA here.
Dang.
And then, yeah, so I mean, that's, if you count that, that's 13 years. And then I took a couple summer classes while I was in undergrad here. I didn't go to undergrad here, but I did take summer classes here. So I don't know if you count those summers as well that I was here. And then I grew up in Huntington. So, I was born in Huntington and I stayed in Huntington until I was 18 and went to James Madison University. So even though I didn't get my undergrad at Marshall, I got my master's here. I spent summers here. I'm from Huntington. Of course, I've been working here for 11 years. So Huntington and Marshall are very, very near and dear to my heart.
So we actually had a segment prepared. It was professors versus AI, and our producer prepared some questions that he gave a prompt to ChatGPT to give some questions and answers. We're going to ask you the question, see what your answer is, and we'll tell you what ChatGPT says.
I love this. This is great.
What's the biggest mistake new businesses make when marketing a new product?
I think the biggest mistake is they don't listen to their customers. They think entrepreneurs or businesses, they think about their strategic plan and they think about their objectives and their goals and all the things they're trying to do. But what they should really be doing is starting with the customer and then working their way backwards.
The answer we're given here is many new businesses focus too heavily on promotion before truly understanding their target audience. Instead of spending money on ads or social media campaigns, they should first invest time in market research, customer interviews, and testing messaging and resonates. Marketing without deep customer insight often leads to wasted effort and unclear positioning.
Yep, I think that's a solid answer. Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
What did
it
he
was
say?
exactly
yeah. So I would probably, thumbs up that answer at the bottom of ChatGPT and say that's a good answer. I agree. So yeah.
The second question we have is actually supposed to be based on something you specialize in.
Okay.
Design thinking.
There we go. Which I just literally okay. That was a perfect tee up.
What is design thinking and why does it matter in business?
So it's an innovation methodology that the intent is to create solutions that people love. That's the first part of it. So the second part of is that you're innovating solutions for complex human-centered problems. So what we mean by complex humans, and they say sometimes they'll call these wicked problems in the design thinking world. But what they're basically getting at, a complex human-centered or wicked problem would be a problem that people face that is so complex and so wicked that not only do you not know the answer, like most problems you don't know the answer to. So that's like, all problems, I guess by nature, it's like, I don't know the answer, but a wicked problem or a complex problem, I don't even know the alternatives because there's like tons of alternatives out there, infinite numbers. And then if we can figure those things out, then we can start working on the solution.
The answer that it gives us is design thinking is a problem-solving approach centered on empathy, creativity, and experimentation. It encourages teams to deeply understand users' needs, generate many ideas, and prototype quickly to test solutions. In business, it helps teams innovate with less risk because they're guided by real customer insights instead of assumptions.
Yeah, so I think that's a good answer, but I think their answer is really focused on the steps of design thinking. So they're kind of walking you through the steps of like what the parts of design thinking are, and which is correct. Like there's nothing incorrect about that, but I think where I took that question was more about like what is design thinking in terms of like the the types of problems it can solve and ultimately what types of innovations are you trying to create.
The last question we have is actually an open-ended question. There's no answer from ChatGPT. It's solely your answer. After hearing AI's answers, how do you think tools like ChatGPT could be used or misused in marketing and entrepreneurship education?
The key word that you just used there is it's a tool. And just like any tool, you can use tools to help people, or you can use, or yourself, or you can use tools to hurt people or yourself. So I don't think any tool by nature has any, like, is not inherently good or bad. It's really the user of the tool that makes it a good tool or a bad tool.
Originally, this podcast was meant to be like, we show you your Rate My Professor reviews and you react to them. I think we mentioned this to you before.
Yeah. That's a killer
problem.
segment. Wow.
There's a slight problem with yours. You have one of the highest ratings of any professor. You have a 4.9. How does it make you feel knowing that, like, out of all the professors at Marshall, that you have such a high rating? Or do you feel like there's an issue with things like Rate My Professor?
I don't think there's an issue with it. In many ways, I think it's a great tool for students to know what they're getting into. I think sometimes, Rate My Professor kind of gets like a bad rap for like, if students will only pick the easy professors. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Rate My Professor, it's like there's one meter that says easy, right? But that's not the whole thing, right? There's all these other scores as well besides just easy. But that's not really what it's rating. It's rating it from overall, like from an overall point of view. And I noticed, by the way, too, there's also how good looking are you, which I didn't get the chili pepper. Wow. There's a chili pepper, and I never got the chili pepper. So, all right, I guess so. Yeah, I got to tell, that's right. I got to tell the students now, hey, give me the chili pepper, But yeah, no. So, but I think Rate My Professor does a really good job of giving students a really holistic view of a professor. I do think that, I guess it's true a little bit that it might become like, well, it's just measures how easy a professor is. But when you look at the tool, that's not what it's measuring. Like it's not the only thing it's measuring. So I think it's effective. I think the big comparison would be like, so you guys do student evaluations at the end of every class.
Yes.
And like, how much do those student evaluations align with Rate My Professor? And I bet they're pretty close.
Why is it you chose, as a doctor in the field, to teach rather than actually owning your own business?
It's because my mom and dad, they're from China. They grew up in a really, really impoverished area of China. Like, they came from nothing. And the whole village, they put all their money together to send 3 or 4 teenagers. They're literally like 12, 13 years old, on a boat to Canada, not even West Virginia, or the United States, Canada, because it was easier to immigrate into Canada than it was the United States at that time. And they sent them because they're like, if you guys do well, you guys can make money and then send back to the village, and then the village will have money. This was literally like that's how bad things were. So they sent what ended up being my mom and my dad and a couple other teenagers on a boat to Canada. And there, my dad starts working at a restaurant. It's like this in Toronto. Again, it's Canada. And so he starts cooking there. And just this craziest thing in the world happened. The mayor of Huntington at the time, this is in the 70s or maybe 60s. And the mayor of Huntington, his name is Harold Frankel. He was Mayor Frankel. Happened to just go into the place that my dad was cooking at. He was like, man, this food is really good. Who cooked this? And they were like, oh, this guy did. And it's my dad. And he was like, hey, I'm the mayor of Huntington, West Virginia. I have a hotel that I'm building in West Virginia, and there's going to be a restaurant in the hotel. And he's like, but I need a guy that can like be the head chef of this day. And your food's really, really good. Would you come down to, would you move down to Huntington, West Virginia, and be the head chef at this hotel, this restaurant, the hotel? It was called the Makiki Club. Older people in Huntington will definitely know it. It became like this super cool Hawaiian themed club. It was like the place to be in Huntington in the 70s. So people got to know my dad. And then the mayor, he kind of like, left office, and, cause like he's, it's an 8-year gig or however long it is, 12, I can't remember how long it is. And then he splits, and my dad at that point was like, okay, what do I do now? And he was like, I'll start my own restaurant. So he created his own restaurant called Ming's Restaurant. My dad's name is Ming. and it becomes equally successful as the Hawaiian one, and it becomes so successful that people are like, "Hey, is your kid going to take it over one day when you retire?" And what my dad said to them was, and it really stuck with me, is I worked with my hands so that way my kids would have the opportunity to work with their head. So my dad actually would never wanted me to take over the restaurant or be in the restaurant business. But I learned a tremendous amount about being a kid in a small business. So even though and I would be curious now to see what it would be like to start a restaurant and to run it. But again, I want to honor my mom and dad's wishes. They came over here and they worked really, really hard so I could work with my head. So that's why, you get the MBA, you get the PhD, but I figured the best way that I could kind of take a version of that instead of creating my own restaurant or business would be to help other people like you all, like students, learn enough about business. So that way they can go and do the same thing that my parents, for their kids, that my parents did for me.
What a sweet story.
Yeah.
I love that, Ben. Very sweet.
Cool.
Well, Mercy, do you want to end this?
How should I? Do we have an outro? How do we do this?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
This is exactly how we end it right here. We says awkward conversation.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really good. Actually.
Sometimes with pods it is
Hey,
like that.
that'd be-
Yeah,
I
sometimes
mean,
it is like, is that it? Okay, cool. That's it. Yeah.
Our script is saying it's been
Oh,
a pleasure.
we're all supposed to look
It's
at
There you
the
go.
saying
same
It's always
time.
been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, it's been a
always.
pleasure with you. You guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.